Welcome to Ageless by Rescu. This podcast is devoted to exploring the science of rejuvenation, uncovering the most trusted experts, the must-have products, innovations, and technology in the field of vitality, aesthetics, new beauty, and cosmetic enhancement. I'm Bahar Etmanen, the founder and editor of Ageless by Rescu. Ageless by Rescu gives you unprecedented access to international and Australian experts and visionaries. Well, I bet you are all so jealous who I get to speak to today. I am speaking to my beautiful friend and a truly inspirational woman, Samantha X. Welcome to Ageless by Rescu.
Oh, thanks, beautiful. It's so nice to see you again. I thought the last time I saw you, we were at some beauty event together.
Yeah, we go a long way. So we have worked together in the beauty industry for, I want to say 15 years at least.
Oh, yeah, at least, yeah.
And I remember, like the rest of Australia, watching you come out as from Amanda to Samantha.
Oh, no.
Channel 7.
I sort of wonder what half the beauty editors thought at the time, because I was a beauty editor, and I used to go to, back in those days, it was, opening of envelopes we used to go to. It was so much fun. And then some of those girls I haven't spoken to for years, but they would have seen the news, and I love to know what they thought.
And, I've featured you on Rescu before, and,
yes.
It honestly remains in the top 5 articles of Rescu, I think 8 years on. And
Stop.
It does, because people are so fascinated and so undereducated. And we don't have enough opportunities to talk candidly about sex, sensuality, sexuality, desire. And I really wanted you on this podcast because one of the things you and I have talked about before is that your sexuality and your self-confidence actually started to peak in your late 30s. And you discovered your most sexual, beautiful self the older that you got, and that you believe that sensuality and sexuality is ageless. And I love that.
Well, I mean, I'm 47 now, and I think I'm just discovering it, and I'm just getting my confidence. And, despite the image that I portray or that other women think I am super, super confident, that's come with age, believe me, because back in those beauty editor days, when I looked 20 years younger, when I was 20 years younger, my confidence was zero. And I think as I've aged, particularly in this environment, in my industry as well, in the adult industry, the sex industry, which funnily enough, it's not about sex, that's where I've got my inner confidence from, because I've realized that it's not so much on the outside. What gives you that confidence is what's on the inside. And I think having understanding men and understanding myself, I've really been able to explore that, particularly in my 40s. I mean, I'm touching my 50s, and I think the 50s will be even better. So I want to say to all women out there who are stressing about turning 40, turning 50, turning 60, whatever, you really have your best years to come. So I wish I knew that when I was younger. I didn't. I thought life was over at 40, but there's so much that we don't know.
Tell me about what your best sexual years to come means, and tell me about, Samantha X in her 30s and now 40s. What aspect of your sexuality or desire or whatever, you call it, has elevated, peaked, improved?
Well, I became Samantha in my mid to late 30s, and for many, many reasons. I love men, I love sex, but then I realized the more I was Samantha, the less sex I was actually having. And I've often said that single women, would be having way more sex than me, who's an escort, because the sex that we have is very different sex to normal sex. I think I realized pretty quickly that men don't care about the shape of your body, that they don't care about the things that we care about, like cellulitis, like stretch marks, like, you know, I have big fake boobs, but actually so many clients told me not to get my big fake boobs, but I do what I want for me anyway. Men prefer the natural look, and I think the thing that's made me sexual and sexier is the confidence I have in my body, regardless of whether I'm having a thin day or a fat day or a bloated day or whatever day. It's that confidence that comes with age, and I think it only comes with age, and it comes from self-esteem, I think. And the more self-esteem I've learnt to have, or the better I feel about myself and my body.
So you have an agency as well. Do you still have that? You still have your girls?
Yes, yeah, we do. We're just in lockdown at the moment, so obviously everything's on hold. But yeah, and the women I encourage, or I'd love to have more of, but I do encourage to work, if that's what they want to do, obviously, are women age 40 plus, because that's where the need, that's what the men want. A lot of, majority of the men want. And it's funny because when we're doing our SEOs and our website, and I've got a wonderful business partner, Vanessa, who does all of that, the most Googled thing when it came to escorts was granny escorts. So we've had to incorporate granny escorts somewhere along the lines. So yeah, a lot of men search out older women, and it's not because they've got the best boobs, it's because they've seen her done most things, they've got the life experience, and they're confident. And that's what's the most attractive thing about an older woman, is the confidence.
Tell me about what men really, really want in your experience. And I've had this conversation with you, and I've asked your advice on these subjects before. Well, what do men really, really want when they're paying $1,000 an hour for it? Because, as soon as you introduce commerce and value to things, people have, I guess, a wish list or a checklist of what they wish to achieve or get from the thing. So what do men really, really want?
Okay, so the men, and I can only talk about my experience. I charge over $3,000 for a dinner date, and an overnight, which is 12 hours, 6 of those minimum sleeping, is about $5,500. And what men want, what they think they want and what they actually want are very different. They think they want swinging from chandelier sex. What they actually want is someone to listen and to talk and to feel appreciated and to feel heard. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had appointments with men and there's been zero sex. They think they go in there thinking this is exciting, and then they're so terrified usually. In fact, they're all pretty terrified and nervous. And then once they start talking, you can't shut them up, because they're like a dam that's just been released. They just for the first time in a lot of their lives, they feel that they have that safe space to talk and to not be judged. And it's funny because I say to a lot of my clients, a therapist is $1,000 cheaper than me. And they say they wouldn't, why would I see a therapist? I don't want to be judged. I don't need a therapist. And I'm thinking, but yeah, it's not about sex. This job is not about sex.
So what I'm hearing that they're paying for intimacy. And
absolutely.
And I want to kind of take it back to this whole idea, a few years ago, the whole sugar daddy thing exploded, and now it's the OnlyFans economy, where women are using their assets and their bodies and their youth in that kind of subsegment to monetize and to pay for things. It's not new. It's, to be cliche, it's the oldest profession in the world, and it's probably the most oldest transaction in the world. But tell me, what you're saying is kind of contradictory to what, media and conversation is, that fetishizes youth. Like, why do we fetishize youth when, in your experience, there's a growing demand for intimacy with an experienced woman who isn't perfect?
Well, look, I mean, youth is, I mean, don't get me wrong, youth is a wonderful thing. Clothes look better, you know, your skin's better, your hair's better, your nails, you know, you have more energy. You know, I look at young girls and I just think, oh, to have that body, or to have, you know, that excitement of a life that's ahead of you, less jaded, you know, there's something to be said for you. And there's always going to be men, if we're talking about what men want, there's always going to be men that are attracted to that. Always,
but they're not attracted. But are they attracted to what that package looks like, or are they attracted to what, you know, the slaps on the back from the friends, or what they think in their head, or maybe they weren't able to get that girl because they were short, fat, bald, and ugly, and now because they've got a little bit of money and a fast car, they might be able to get, you know, a girl that they've never had access to.
I'm sure there's an element of that. And you know, these girls, you know, they just lack the experience that a lot of men, in my experience, are looking for. And I've heard a lot of men say they find the younger girls, quote, boring, unquote, because you can't talk to them. I had a client ring me up once and say, Samantha, I didn't know, Samantha, do you have any older ladies on your books? And I said, yes, I do. He goes, I'm so sick of these young ones. All they want to do is have sex. He said, I honestly had to laugh. And he said, I'm just looking for someone I can talk to. And that's, I mean, men aren't the sexual drilling machines that the media portrays them out to be. You know, I hate to say, if there's any men listening here, I do apologize in advance, but, you know, sex is pretty quick with men. And my appointments are usually a couple of hours. Now, what do you think we do in those hours? We certainly do not have sex for, you know, longer than 5 to 10 minutes. The rest is talking, listening. I'm mentally drained by after a lot of my jobs. It's not physically drained. I can see 3 clients in a week and not have penetration. And I think that's the biggest myth about this job. And I think that's the great thing about getting older. You attract a certain demographic of man. And the older I get, the younger my clients get. It's not I attract the 85-year-olds that are on their last gasps of breath. You know, women my age and older, you know, there's a huge, huge demand by younger men, by gorgeous younger men.
What have you learned about desire?
Desire in men or women or both?
Let's start with women in your own development as a sexual being, as someone who provides desire and you know, sex and sensuality for clients.
Yeah, look, all I can speak for is myself, and that, you know, sexually I've never really talked about sex, but I will. Sexually, you know, for me, I like dominating men. I like them to be dominating. In my job as Samantha, men are not like that. They're very humble. You know, they want the romance. They want the foreplay. They, you know, they like to be cuddled, you know, like that. I mean, if I was looking for a sexual partner, yes, those are great. But, you know, I do like to get thrown around the room as well. And the clients do not, you know, they prefer very gentle, sweet, vanilla. I would say vanilla sex. And their desires are very vanilla. You know, I don't get requests for hamsters up the bums or anything like that. I get very, you know, vanilla. Do you kiss? Do you cuddle? You know, that kind of stuff. So men, I think, are supposed to be these, you know, they're conditioned to be these rough, strong, big blokes that just are throwing you against the wall. But they're actually, in my experience, far more tender than that.
And do you think it's because you're older, and that if it was a, you know, a bucks night or a group of guys who were getting a young and experienced girl, that the power kind of base would be very different?
Yes.
And that you hold so much more power because you are older, you are ageless, you are more confident, and it's a very different situation to be in real life as well, you know?
Yes, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said power, because sex is power. It's a power game. It's a dance. You know, the whole man and woman thing is a dance, and I am so much more successful with my dates as Samantha, because I've got the power. When I'm Amanda and I date in the real world, I'm useless, because the powers, it's you know, the balance of scales is out of whack for me. So yeah, you're right, it is about power. And I read this fabulous quote: everything in the world is about, as Oscar Wilde said, everything in the world is about sex. Apart from sex, sex is about power. And that's so true. It's a power thing. And I think a lot of men I see are so powerful in their lives. They're the CEOs, sportsmen, whatever, you know, and the normal tradie, whatever. And they just don't want to be that powerful man. You know, they want their man cave where they can just be who they are. And I've seen so many men cry, be really vulnerable. And yeah, they tell that. I mean, I've heard so many times that they tell me things they've never told anyone else before. And that isn't about sex. That isn't about throwing you around the room. That is a very tender, simple, it's simplicity. You know, it's just human need of intimacy.
What happens, what's the difference between your young clients and your older clients in terms of their vitality, their energy, their sexual ability?
Actually, not that much. You know, I mean, the young ones, yes, I mean, their bodies are, you know, they're great bodies, and you know, their desires are probably a little bit different, and they are more sexual. But the older ones are certainly more experienced and more vocal during, you know, they have the confidence to tell you what they want, whereas the young ones sometimes think one size fits all. You know, good sex is about a discussion as well, about what you want and what they want. And I think that I've only, in my mid-40s, I only have worked out now what I actually like. You know, I had no idea. And I think it's impossible to have good sex when you don't know your body. If you don't know your body, how's he going to know your body? He or she's going to know your body. You know, I know what I need, and I have the confidence to vocalize that. And I think a lot of women don't have the confidence to vocalize that. And I've learned that as Samantha.
Do you coach your the girls that work for you, or the women that work for you, as to how to create and to self-generate sexiness and desire so that they deliver a great service to their clients?
Do I coach? I mean, there is some kind of coaching, yes. And I always say to them, I can't be there in the room with you. You know, I can't be there with you. You're going to have to do it yourself. It's on the job learning. It's really hard to tell someone who doesn't think the same as me to behave a certain way. Only they can judge the situation and the client and what the client wants. But you know, they quite often come to me thinking it's all about sex, and you know, I'm a sex addict, I love sex, I'm going to be a great escort. And I just laugh and say, don't go into this job for the sex. Go into this job because you have compassion. And if you have compassion, you'll do fine. It's not about having the biggest boobs or you know, the designer vagina. It's about having compassion and being able to listen. And that's all I can help. But that's all I can, just guide them. You know, I can just guide them.
Well, you brought up the designer vagina, and what a perfect segue. What exactly is, you know, tell me about what you think makes a body and a woman ageless in a sexual context, and tell me some of the things that you do to keep yourself ageless and to not only look good, but to feel good.
Well, it takes a village, number one. Look, I'm not against plastic surgery. I have had several procedures.
You had done?
The most recent one I had was a lower facelift and a designer vagina, and I'll have to tell you about that. It's fabulous. And I had my boobs done, and he put in Dr. Puriya Maradi. He put a internal bra inside, which has been the best thing, because you know, as you said, if you get to a certain age, they flop. So it's great to have them standing up naturally. and you pay a bit more, obviously, but you also save a lot. And I thought, well, I'm going to save all that money on bras, and I hardly ever wear them, and they'll last forever. The designer vagina is not as hardcore as it sounds. It's just basically, okay, so he just lasered the excess skin off the labia, and so you have a very smooth looking vagina. Can I just say, no one else cares about it apart from me. Men don't notice that kind of stuff. Do not notice that kind of stuff. I'm the only one that notices it. I'm the only one that loves it. No one else gives a shit about it. And the other thing I had was a lower facelift, and that is probably the best thing I've done. Excruciatingly painful. We'll do it all again tomorrow. The recovery was about, honestly, I think I stopped crying after about a week. But yeah, 2 to 3 weeks, you're still in a fair bit of pain, because they cut behind and in front of the ear, and I think any kind of ear surgery is very painful. But look, I was so happy with the results, and I really recommend Dr. Muradi. Yeah.
We've talked about kind of a sexy arsenal before in the article you wrote for Rescu. Let's talk about what your little beauty ritual and what is just beautiful and captivating and makes you feel sexy and ageless and ready to enjoy the day.
Well, the thing I've trained myself to do every morning, and it takes, I think it says 28 days to create a habit. Every time I get up, as soon as I get up, I drink a glass of water with lemon. I know that sounds so boring and cliched, but that I've had to force myself to do it before I have my coffee. Look, coffee is really important to me in the morning, as is getting out of bed. It's so easy to go back to bed, especially in lockdown, but I force myself to get up. I get out, I get my dog, and I walk. It doesn't matter what I'm looking, whether I'm still in my pajamas, I'm out. Skincare wise, I use a few products. Can I talk about skincare ranges? What I use here? Okay. I don't know whether you want me to. So I use. The thing that changed my skin the most, skincare wise, is Rodan and Fields. I don't know whether have you tried them?
I've used their cleanser.
Do you like it?
Yeah, very much. Love it. It's a foaming cleanser. It's really rich. It's amazing. And they do a great eye cream as well in their anti-aging range. Great eye cream, actually. The range I use is Reverse. I think it's called Reverse. And they got glycolic acid is fantastic. Their eye cream is great. Exfoliating toner is great. And my skin, I got comments on my skin after about a month of using that. But the best thing I've done for my skin, and I know this sounds really boring, is I stopped drinking. And as soon as I stopped drinking, my inside out completely changed. A sparkle came back in my eyes. The bags started to go down. The under eye circles went down. My skin cleared up. It seriously took 5 years off me, I reckon. 5 to 10 years off me. And I wasn't drinking every day. I wasn't drinking in the morning, but I was drinking enough for me to be a drinker, like a proper drinker. So giving that up is hands down the best thing I've done for my skin. Best. No point in having all these fancy products if you're putting on bad skin. You got to sort out the skin first. See, she's a beauty editor at heart. Maybe Samantha X, but she's still a beauty editor. But you can't beat it out of you, can you? Let me ask you something. Do you have a ritual that makes you feel sexy that you can share with our listeners? Ritual? That can kind of, because one of the things that I definitely get DMs about and stuff is I can't be bothered. I just don't want to anymore. I don't feel it. But there are definitely ways to get yourself in the mood and to kind of appreciate yourself and be on.
Yes. And I think that lies in bronzer for me. I even in lockdown, I put makeup on. Apart from when you called me 20 minutes ago, I put a bit of foundation, a bit of bronzer, and my favorite lipstick from MAC, which is called Myth. And when I put that on, I feel like myself. And that's the only ritual I have in the morning. A bit of exfoliating toner from Rodan and Fields. But apart from that, I'm pretty basic. Like I don't have this wild and fancy, regime or I'm pretty basic.
Well, what about when you're going to work, when you're transforming into Samantha X? Is
Samantha.
there a look that your clients, it always works? Is there a fragrance that, is irresistible? Is there a body cream that you swear by?
Yes.
Go.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Okay.
secrets,
So when
we want to know.
So when I'm becoming Samantha,
Ooh.
the body cream that they love is the Bum Bum one from Mecca. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's so nice. I like it too. So does my 10-year-old.
Yeah, the Bum Bum cream is amazing, and I have many, many comments on that cream, more than I do expensive perfumes.
It's coconut and vanilla. That's why it smells like a holiday.
Is that what it is in there? Yeah, it's just beautiful. And I have recently invested in the Dyson Airwave, I think it's called. And I curl my hair, and they just love that little, not like bright, that little king, like you have now, the little, curl. And I use my favorite perfume, La Tulip from Breda. Is it Breda? It's a Mecca Cosmetica brand. And those are my go-tos. If I've got that body cream, if I've got that perfume on, if I've got my hair curled, I'm fine. I also put on a bit of fake tan. And look, you don't need to spend a lot of money on the fake tan. I've bought every amazing fake tan out there, and you would know this. The ones I recommend are Dove, the everyday gradual tan, and Elle Ferguson does a beautiful tan as well.
Yeah, I love her.
I love her too.
Such a good product, and it's such a natural color, but it's a great one. I agree.
Yeah,
and it doesn't smell bad. It's amazing.
No, it doesn't smell bad. So, yeah, those are my Samantha things. As for clothes, look, clients, the number one request I have is for jeans or activewear. I've got all these beautiful dresses that I don't wear because they don't want the whole fancy schmancy thing,
And what about exercises? Do you do pelvic floor exercises? Do you do anything in particular to kind of keep yourself, in tip-top shape? And do you recommend any exercises as you're getting older to keep you?
Absolutely. Yeah. The thing that changed my body more than anything, more than weights or running, was Pilates. And Pilates for older women especially, it's just
the gift that keeps on giving. It really
oh my God. Do you do it? Do you do it too?
Yeah.
Do you do it too?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a game changer.
I love it. Game changer. And I've actually registered to do a teacher training course because I'm obsessed with it at the moment. I just think I see so many changes to my body. And I think Joseph Pilates said in 10 sessions, you feel better. In 20, you look better. And in 30, you get a brand new body. And before lockdown, I was doing it once, sometimes twice a day. And my body was the best, much better than when I was 21. My body was, you get toned in the right places. You get the underarm tone, which I love about Pilates.
And do you do Kegels, or do you recommend any kind of?
No, I don't. I mean, no, I don't. But I mean, I know I should. But I probably do that in Pilates. You have to sort of draw up from inside. I do that. But I mean, every woman should do Kegels.
Do you think that there's any supplements that boost or enhance your sex drive or stamina or desire? Because that's, it's often closely linked with exhaustion, adrenal fatigue, a drop in estrogen levels. And that's, that certainly starts happening from your mid to late 30s. Do you do anything to kind of boost your libido through supplementation or?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. No, I don't. I think I probably should though. For me, when I have a low libido, it means my head's not working properly. That there's something else going on. I'm stressed, or I don't, or I'm upset about something, or I'm tired. And also, I used to have a very high libido, and the older I get, that's gone down. But I think that it's very easy when you haven't had sex for a while. You lose the urge, and then as soon as you have sex again, it awakens your desire. And I haven't had, lockdown, I haven't had sex for ages, and so I've sort of lost that desire a bit. But once I have sex again, I know I'll be okay. But as for herbs or supplements, no, I only hear what men do. And a lot of men take Cialis, I think it's called, instead of Viagra. I don't know too much about it. I know it doesn't have the same side effects as Viagra does. But as for women's sex drive, for me, I just think the more you look after yourself, the more sexual you'll feel. I think if you're feeling fat and frumpy and overweight, and you're gonna have no sex drive, you know. So
if you're not in the mood to, you know, clock on at work, do you opt out?
Yes, but I don't work that much. And I have to be in a Samantha headspace. You know, I have to get into that character. You know, I'd rather put my trackies on and have a cup of tea half the time. So when I have to sort of click into Samantha mode, and it takes a bit of effort. Yeah, it does take a bit of effort to click in, but once I've clicked in, I'm fine.
And what do you do to click in? What do you do to click in? Because a lot of people have to click into Samantha mode and they don't really want to.
Well, you know, there is weight to the old saying, fake it till you make it. And I'm not saying about faking an orgasm. I'm just saying, if you have a smile on your face, it's really hard not to feel happy. You know, it doesn't matter if that smile's fake. You still release the endorphins. As soon as I'm with the client, as soon as I see the client, as soon as we sit down, I just feel in Samantha mode automatically. It's the idea of it, which I find hard. Oh, I can't be bothered to get ready. I can't be bothered to go out. I can't be bothered to have dinner. Blah, blah, blah. But as soon as I'm with a client, I feel good. It's just getting to that stage. It's like going out to a board meeting or to going to work or going for dinner with people you don't really want to go with. As soon as you're there, it's fine. It's just the idea of it. I say in my head, showtime. I go, you know, this is showtime. And, you know, here I am. And the rest just follows. But I think if you go on, sorry. I think with me, if once I look the part, I can be the part. You know, I can't feel like Samantha in trackies. But once I'm looking nice and I've got my nice shoes on and I feel confident and I'm, you know, wearing matching undies for a change, then I can be Samantha. I can't go into Samantha mode at home. Absolutely not.
I remember a conversation we had, I want to say about 5 years ago, and I think it was in the interview as well, is that for you, foreplay starts hours before, and that's the secret kind of source to be in the mood and to feel desired and desirable and to create, you know, a sexual tension before you meet a client. And I remember you said to me you had one client that wanted you to take photos of you in your Louboutins, and that whole kind of the building up of the sexual chemistry and tension started hours before. So but by the time you got there, you were really in the mood and you felt really desired and sexy, and he was really already pre-turned on. Tell me about the idea, you know, of how this can kind of play out in real life, because people are looking for advice. People want inspiration and ideas to kind of play with in real life.
Yeah, look, I understand it's harder in real life when you've been married for 25 years. I get that. I'll give you a story though. One of my dear friends, she was at a sort of a stalemate with her husband, and you know, they weren't having sex. They were barely talking. You know, it was a real down bit in their relationship. And I said to her, why don't you just send him a message right now saying, I can't wait to suck your later. And she goes, no, I can't do that. Of course I can't do that. And she did. Seriously, he was home in half an hour, you know. And
that's an international alarm clock that rallies the soldiers all over the world. We know that.
We know that, exactly. And I think it's being confident enough to just put yourself in that vulnerable position to say something like that. And there are not many men that would say no thanks to that. And I think by having sex, and it's very easy when you're in a long-term relationship, the older you get, to sort of sex go by the wayside and it's not important. And it really is important, because it's not just about penis and vagina, it's a connection of you two. And I think once couples stop having sex, there isn't, I mean, I can't speak for anyone apart from me, but I know my relationships, when I'm not sexually intimate, physically intimate with my partner, I feel less close to them. And I think that is something that I hear time and time again from men that can't cope with not having sex with their wives or their girlfriends or their partners. And I hear a lot that they say, my wife feels fat, or she's put on weight, she doesn't have any confidence, and to me she's still beautiful. I hear that all the time. They say, to me she is still beautiful. And I just wish.
Do you feel younger? Do you feel more beautiful when you are, feeling sexually expressed? Because, there's always that thing, oh, you can tell she's getting some or he's getting some, because it's a glow. It's a transformation in your physiology, in the way you walk and the way you talk. Your skin looks better. Do you feel that way?
It's really hard to answer that, because yes and no. In Samantha, it's as soon as I walk out of the hotel room or whatever, I'm Amanda again. So I have to separate the two characters, the two women. In Amanda's world, yes, I do feel like that. I mean, ironically enough, I never have sex in my real life, hardly ever. But the times I have been in relationships, yes, I do feel that glow, and I think it is, literally a physical thing, that you do have that radiance. But as Samantha, not really so much, because it's my job.
How did your orgasms change from your 20s, 30s, 40s? How did you? Yeah, that's the question.
I never talk about sex, so I'm actually really shy at talking about sex, but I will answer this for you. I honestly don't think I had an orgasm in my 20s. Full stop.
Wow.
I actually don't think I did, and I'm sorry to any of my ex-boyfriends listening to this. But I didn't know really how to have. I mean, obviously, masturbation is a different thing, and yes, I knew how to do that. But when it came to having sex, I had no idea what I was doing. I thought it was all about pleasuring the man, and I didn't know how anyone could give me an orgasm. So in my 30s, I think I began to understand my body a bit more, but still not great. I hardly had orgasms. In my 40s, well, I'm making up for lost time. because my partners are better in bed, I'm better in bed with me. I know what I need, and I'm confident enough in myself to express that to someone. Not all the time. Sometimes I get really shy still. I don't have the super confidence. I'm not that super confident, but 9 times out of 10, if I'm lucky enough to have sex 9 times out of 10, I will be able to express what I need. Yeah.
And in terms of what you need, and I guess the evolution of what we need, it would be remiss of me not to mention the wildly popular Netflix show Sex Life. Have you watched it?
I've watched one episode. Have you watched it?
Like us, you know that, right?
Yeah, is she?
Yeah.
That's why she's so beautiful.
Spicy brunette, like.
Yeah. Is it good? I hear episode 6 is very good, or I think it's 4 or 6.
Look, I think it's really interesting, because it's put the dialogue about sex and desire and the different phases of women's sexuality. It's brought it up as a conversation point. I think that the protagonists are gorgeous to look at, and I think it kind of looks beneath the veneer of what's expected and what's polite to talk about. So I think it was good. But what do you think? Do you think that that the premise of the show, for those who haven't seen it, is that the lead character says that she was highly sexually active, really exploratory, had this hot boyfriend in her 20s and 30s, 20s, I guess. And then, she settles for a hot guy that she marries and has 2 kids, but like lusts after her sexier self. But what you're saying is that you flipped the narrative, and that, in your 20s and 30s, you weren't having that spectacular sex.
No.
In your 40s.
Yeah. I had drunk, stupid sex, like I don't remember half the sex I had. And I think at that age I was doing it to please the man, not because I wanted pleasure myself. I probably wanted the validation more than the physicality of it. Whereas now it's about the I'm not going to waste my time having bad sex. I don't need to have a husband. I don't need to have You know, I don't need someone to look after me in that way. I would like to have good sex. And it's not easy to find. It's not easy
And
to find.
what do you think the secret formula is? Is it chemistry? Is it communication? Is it anatomy? Is it energy? What is it? Or creativity? What is the secret sauce?
Personally, I think it's 99.9% chemistry. You know, you can have chemistry with someone you are not attracted to, like is not your type, but for some reason you have the most amazing chemistry. On the other hand, you can get someone who you're super attracted to, who's gorgeous, ticks all the boxes, but there's no chemistry. You know, and I think good sex is about good chemistry. Yes, communication is important. Yes, you know, all the other energy is really important, but if the chemistry is not there, it's not going to happen, you know. And I remember seeing a life coach years and years ago. I was really in doubt whether to leave my partner or not at the time, and he said to me, does he smell nice? And I thought, I don't know, I don't really know what he smells of. And he said, couples that stay together are couples that are attracted to each other's smell. So that's chemistry, you know. That's something that's biological.
Have you ever fallen in love with a client?
I have, yes, I have.
And was that from chemistry or was that from connectivity?
Chemistry, probably chemistry. I mean, the thing with chemistry is that you know, just as quickly as it comes, it can go pretty quickly too as well. But yeah, no, we had a few great years together and then they ended in disaster. But yeah, chemistry. But he was also a nice guy, you know. Yeah.
What would 47-year-old Samantha X tell 27-year-old Amanda?
Grow some balls, probably. Some balls, be more confident, you know, like be more confident, grow some balls, and not care what other people think so much. I was so terrified in this insecure world of worrying what people think, and now I'm at the age where I really have built a career out of not caring what people think, you know. And you know, the worst judge of anyone is ourselves. You know, I'm so, you know, I had an eating disorder. I was, you know, didn't want to go out during the day. I only went out at night because then I feel that no one could see me. You know, I was just so insecure. And I think that the older I've got, the more that I realize that everyone else is just too obsessed with their own lives to care what I'm doing. And also look after your skin and put sunscreen on, which is something I never did growing up in London. We never use sunscreen. I still hardly ever use it, to be honest, because I'm not conditioned to use it. So yeah, sunscreen would be the big one.
I'm going to ask you, who do you think are the sexiest muses that you look up to and you think, you know, their beauty is ageless, their sensuality is ageless, their sexuality is powerful?
Oh, that's a really hard question. I mean, I see women like, I mean, I'm old school, so I see women like Sophia Loren, and I'd turn for her. You know, she's just so sexual. Like everything about her is so sexual, and her body, you know, she's not skinny. She's got that those beautiful curves. I love women like that, that are unashamedly sexual. Modern day, I actually don't know modern day who I think is really good. What about you? What do you think? Who do you think is really sexual?
Different muses for different things, and you know, I find people really, you know, I can walk down the street and see a girl and go, my God, she's got such great energy. Like, what about her can you appropriate? What is it? The way that, you know, she wears like a simple necklace around her neck. And I think, you know, you overdo it, you can overdo it. And then you see someone who's really beautiful in just their pared back attractiveness. So I like normal people. I love actually find normal people quite attractive. In terms of kind of muses, I think that Gwen Stefani looks so vital and she's so happy. She's found new love. She looks powerful. She looks sexy. She looks like she's about to have a whole new iteration of life. And to me, she just looks really, really like ready to go. I think, you know, I think about that movie, Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
I haven't seen that.
It's a Woody Allen film, and it's
Oh,
Penelope
okay.
Cruz and Scarlett Johansson, and it kind of pits the blonde against the brunette, the younger versus the older, and it's so interesting because throughout that movie you kind of fall in love with both characters, and you kind of want to be both of them, and in you know, one's an ingenue and one's like really experienced and confident. So you know, I see that duality in life as well, and I see that in me. So I find that interesting, and I think I'm interested to ask you, because I've seen you grow up, I guess, and I've seen
Yeah.
your change.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point about normal people. I think the less effort women make, the sexier they are. And, you know, I'm more likely to want to look like, or to aspire to look like, a woman that's very natural. He looks amazing in a white shirt and jeans, rather than a woman who has the whole shebang outfit. I'm always going to look at the normal looking woman and go, oh, she looks so classy. You know, just very simple, classy, like a less fuss. You know, I'm all about less fuss. Yeah, I love that kind of natural. I mean, I always used to think that, oh my God, Gwyneth Paltrow was so beautiful. You know, she's got the wonky teeth. She's very natural looking. You know, she sells a candle of her vagina smell and made a fortune. And I thought, there's a good business idea.
Now there is an idea.
But yeah, she's that kind of look that I love, you know, very natural. Would look ridiculous with big fake boobs like me, you know, look ridiculous in them.
I love this is what I was going to say. I didn't want to burst your bubble, but like, it's like, I really like natural. I really like natural. I just.
Yeah, no, exactly. Look, you know, sometimes I think I'd love to take my boobs and just have normal small boobs again. And, you know, and I think, oh, it's who I am now. You know, I love my I've always wanted big boobs. I grew up flat chested. Spent my 30s flat chested. I want to have big boobs, and I love them, but I love them. Men don't necessarily love big boobs like this. Most men love natural. I get lots of requests from men. Do you have any girls with natural boobs?
Oh.
And I'm like, nope. Nope, they're all fake these days. But yeah, I mean, look, Gwyneth Paltrow's probably got very fake small ones.
Well,
I would say she probably does.
You've given some incredible tips, and I love speaking to you. You're so candid, and you own who you are, and it was hard. I know it was hard for you. I know there was just so many times where, you know, you were vilified and misunderstood, I would say, but it was wonderful to have you on the Ageless.
Oh, thank you.
I love speaking to you.
Thanks,
and I'm
Bahar.
sure listeners.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me again.
Thank you, my darling.
All right. Love you. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please share and rate this episode. I'd love that.